Hey everyone, welcome back to our Japan Talk series. If you're unfamiliar with our series, what we're going to do is we're going to take you on a beautiful walk through the Japanese countryside, and while you guys are enjoying the view, we are going to have a nice discussion about some aspect of life in Japan or Japanese culture. So for today's walk, we are in hydrangea season in Japan. So we are taking a walk through a beautiful hydrangea village for today's video. I think you guys are really going to enjoy the scenery. And for today's discussion, we are actually going to be talking about police and policing in Japan. And we are going to be looking at the good aspects of this, and we're going to be looking at some of the negative aspects. So for today's discussion, I'm going to talk about 3 things that I've seen in my 10 years of experience in Japan about the positive side of Japanese policing or policing in Japan, and 3 of the things which I think could be improved. So without further ado, let's jump straight into this. The first thing that I will say about police in Japan on the positive side is I feel that in comparison to a lot of countries I've seen, police in Japan tend to be really patient, okay? Let's say, for example, they're dealing with a problematic person. Rather than, escalating the situation, becoming aggressive, whether they're dealing with somebody maybe who's had too much to drink, maybe somebody who themselves is being overly aggressive. They'll really have a discussion with the person. They'll try to talk with them. They'll try to be understanding of their behavior. They will do everything that they can to de-escalate the situation. And they are extremely patient. I've seen some people that are just super drunk, being, really belligerent with the police, like falling all over the place, falling into the police. And I saw the police, in these situations, very often they're just maintaining their composure, trying to be understanding. They don't want the situation to get out of hand or to go too far. So really, they're incredibly patient. I mean, for me as an American, thinking about what would happen in these situations back in my home country, it would escalate to violence really, really quickly. It would become a physical confrontation. It's not really so in Japan. So for me, I think that's a really great thing. Police here are very patient, and that's what you want. Police are there to be public servants. They're there to help people, and you know what? Sometimes people make mistakes, sometimes people do the wrong thing, and patience is really a virtue, I believe, when it comes to policing. So that's something that I've really enjoyed seeing. The second great thing that I've seen about policing in Japan is there seems to be a really great sense of urgency. And this is not only with police, you can see it with firefighters. They are trained in such a way where they consider every single situation to be a potential emergency. So no matter where you see a policeman going, no matter where you see a firefighter going in Japan, they will be going there as fast as they can. If they're moving from one place to another on foot, they're all running. If they're moving from one place to another on a bicycle, they're pedaling as fast as they can, like they're in a race. They just have a really great sense of urgency. And, if they get a call, even if it's something routine, they're trained to understand that, hey, it could get out of hand. It could become a problem. It could become, even the smallest of things could become an emergency. So they have a sense of urgency in everything that they do. And I think that's really great to see. If you need a policeman, they are going to be there as quickly as they can, and they're going to take the situation seriously. So, that's another really positive thing that I've seen. Now, the third positive thing that I've seen from police is they are actually very humble. And I've seen a great humility of service from policemen in Japan. And I'm going to give you an example, okay? If you're walking down the street and a policeman is on duty, they very often, they're going to, very graciously get out of the way, give way to pedestrians, to bicyclists. They really don't want to be an impediment to what is going on around them in society. I've seen situations where Their parents that are biking past with their kids, maybe their child's hat flies off and you see the policeman running after it to help out, to lend a hand. Just overall, they're just really humble. They really see themselves as servants of the public, and they're just trying to do a good job. And so I don't know, overall, my experience has been overwhelmingly positive with police. Of course, there's some negative things which I'll get into in a moment, but overall I see the police in Japan as being very humble, very patient, and having a great sense of urgency. Now, let's get into some of the negative side. Human beings, they're not perfect, and police in Japan are no different. They're far from perfect, and there's things that can be improved here. So the first thing that you will notice in Japan is there is profiling done by the police. There is a lot of racial profiling in Japan. There is also a lot of appearance profiling. In Japan, very often, on the racial side of things, Japan is a very homogenous society. Like 99.99% of everyone in Japan is ethnically Japanese. So it is pretty often that people that are visually noticeably not Japanese will be profiled by the police. I myself have been stopped, several times and searched in Japan for really no reason other than not being Japanese. And even when I inquired with police, that was the reason that was told to me. And, sometimes from talking to more and more police, I think sometimes it's a matter of police actually want to have interactions with non-Japanese as practice. Maybe they want to practice their language. Maybe they want to practice interacting with people from different countries. So sometimes it's sort of a part of their training, particularly for new officers, and sometimes they're just profiling. I've seen it happen a lot less. It hasn't happened to me, I will say, in maybe the last 5 years. But in my first 5 years in Japan, it did happen fairly frequently, but I think it's something they have worked to improve. And you can also see what I call appearance profiling. If you're a businessman, if you have a suit and a briefcase, very unlikely you're going to be stopped by police. But, if you're dressed like a hippie, if you have a beard, those types of things will often get you stopped and searched, particularly if you're in some of the busier downtown areas like Shibuya. You see people fitting that profile, getting stopped and searched multiple times all day, every day. Now, for me, the biggest issue in Japan with Japanese policing is there is a lack of seriousness and just sort of a lack of willingness for police to involve themselves in what would be considered domestic issues. Issues of domestic violence, stalking, domestic assault. Police seem to be very hesitant to get involved in these matters. They see them more as family matters. And for stalking as well, they see it, a crime hasn't been committed yet. Maybe this person is following you around. I've had a lot of female friends in Japan, both Japanese and non-Japanese, that have had struggled with these issues, and they don't really find the police to be very helpful. They often find that their problems are ignored or dismissed, or the seriousness or severity of those issues are not taken seriously. And they feel that, they don't really have anywhere to turn. They don't really have an avenue of support. So for me, this is probably the biggest and most glaring issue that I have seen. And the following issue that I have seen, and obviously I have no personal experience with this, but this is something that I have been told, is that in the Japanese legal system, the police officers, they have a lot of pressure to close cases. If you see the closure rate statistics of cases in Japan, they have something like a 90+% closure rate on any open crimes. And this sort of leaves the police to having pressure, to getting people to confess and to crimes. And I've read that this sort of leads to some pressure to maybe utilize tactics that would force people into making a confession just to close the case. Again, this is something that I've only read. I've no direct experience, but that is something else that I would say would be on the negative side. So that's about all I have for this topic. As I said, I think overwhelmingly, I think police do a great job here. I have a high level of respect for police officers in any country. I see Japanese police as being patient, very urgent, and humble in their duties. So overall, I think they do a great job. But how about you? Have you had any experience with police here in Japan? Would be curious to know how you weigh on this topic. And for future videos, is there a topic that you would like me to cover? Let me know in the comment section below a topic that interests you, and I would be more than happy to make a video about it. It's all I have for today's video, guys. If you enjoy the content, please consider giving me a like and subscribing to the channel. It would be really appreciated. So that's it for today, guys. I will catch you in the next video. See ya.